Gwich'in and Inuvik people of the Northwest Territories. We're grateful to be allowed the opportunity to learn, work, and live on Treaty 11 lands within the Gwich'in settlement area and the lands of the Inuvik final agreement. Adoption of the agenda. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Merrill and Councillor Alexis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Declaration conflict of interest or pecuniary interest.
8.2,
Councillor Harder.
8.2,
Sorry,
8.2.
8.2.
Anybody else?
Don't think so. Before we go any further, I just want to mention all this air travel I've had lately has really affected my hearing, so I'm gonna have to ask everybody to please speak up. I was partially deaf before, now I think I'm almost totally, so if you don't mind. Delegations, presentations, or petitions, we have none. Item 5, public question period, there is no public. Item 6.1, adoption of the minutes of the May 6th and 8th, 2024 council meetings. Going to get a mover and a seconder. Councillor Merrill and Councillor Kulakowski. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. 6.2, minutes of the May 14th, 2024 special council meeting. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Merrill and Kulakowski. All those in favor? Motion's carried. 6.3, minutes of the May 14th, 2024 public hearing. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Harder and Councillor Merrill. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Seven. 7.1, the action items list. Any discussion? Seeing none. Item 8, new business. 8.1, request for road closure for the Pride Parade. We received a request from the organizers to donate the use of a barbecue and implement a rolling road closure. The event is planned for May 30th and will feature a parade along Mackenzie Road from Inglewood Hall to the end of Northmark and then up and along Kingming, concluding at the East 3 School parking lot where a free community barbecue will be held. The map is attached, as are the details. So the motion is, be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council approves the proposal for a temporary rolling road closure along Mackenzie Road between Dolphin Street and Kingming Road from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Kulakowski and Councillor Devlin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. 8.2, update to the FM .022 community beautification policy. We'll just wait for Councillor Harder to leave the room.
Let's go here.
Okay, regarding the community cleanup. In consultation with Director Docomo, administration is suggesting a cap of 20,000 pounds per business per year for free tipping. There are more details in the attached policy. Now we have 3 options. Obviously, to approve the request as presented, defeat the motion, or refer back to administration with suggested changes or areas that require further investigation. It was suggested to me that we use this year as a trial and actually weigh everything to see if people are in fact taking unfair advantage of this. So the motion is, be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council hereby adopts the amendments to FM-022 Community Beautification Policy establishing a maximum allowed weight of 20,000 pounds per business to be enforced during commercial free tipping week. A mover and a seconder. Councilor Merrill and Councilor Kulikowski. Discussion. Seeing none. Oh, Councilor Wayman.
20,000 pounds is like third of a load with a semi, which is like,
Is what?
20,000 pounds seems light, but if you're gonna do a study on it and check,
It's up to council if they want to refer it back to administration.
it just seems 20,000 pounds seems light. I mean, it seems like a huge number, but it's actually weight wise, it's not.
How many junk vehicles would that represent, for example?
Vehicle's 5,500 kilograms, which is. Yeah, you're looking at two vehicles.
Okay, Councilor Day,
That'll represent three
you want to
vehicles.
use your microphone, please?
I don't think that's enough, weight to be allowed and we'll just end up with a bunch of garbage floating around.
Any further discussion? Councilor Wayman.
More concerned about our short-term people here. 20,000 pounds of, on all weight limit, they're just gonna, like Counselor Day said, they're just gonna leave their garbage.
Okay, do you want to refer it back to
I
administration?
mean, I'd like to look at,
Yes,
I'd like to do the study, let's figure it out, that'd be perfect.
okay, so we'll refer it back to
But I
administration.
mean, how did we come up with 20,000 pounds is the question.
Good
I mean,
question.
it's just because there's so many people that do it every year.
Maybe our SAO can answer that question.
I think at this point it was a reasonable number. If you're recommending that we actually do a study. I think where some of the issue, may arise is when vehicles are overloaded to the point where the weight scale can't even handle them. That's a good indication
It's only
that
happened once before.
maybe,
It's only happened once before, but we've heard about it for 10 years.
yeah, maybe overloaded. This came from our Public Works Committee. And we can certainly bring it back and, seek some more feedback, based on your recommendations as well, or from council, in terms of what the weight limit should be on that. I think everybody recognizes those stockpiling things and waiting for once a week, one week a year, is challenging, and it's certainly challenging from a financial perspective for the town as well. So, we can certainly consider this as, a way that we can get a baseline for 2024, but also if you are recommending a different weight, we can certainly bring that back to the committee as well.
Like Counselor Day said, it's 3 vehicles, but I don't know how many vehicles you're here to throw off. I don't really see many. Just like to know how we come to the number and how we arrange for the number. Some are big users, some are less users. Just like to see the numbers, how we come to a 20,000 pound. A semi-load is 58,000 pounds. Like tandem try. And that's what he's gonna haul max, so you're looking at a third of the semi, so you're looking at 20 by 20 square.
You got a comment, Councilor Lozerski?
I was just gonna see if there was more information available on what a full load does weigh, so if it's 58,000 pounds. I don't know, is there somewhere in the middle we start for this year, like if we were able to up it to 30,000, does that make a difference to
I don't know.
commercial dumping?
And all I know is if you start, all I know is if you start doing it, there's just the whole idea of beautification of it is to keep it beautiful. Some things are affordable for some things are not. We might end up with our industrial looking like a dump again. It's actually pretty tidy. We're just concerned over the weight. There's more than one user, there's a whole community there.
Yeah.
Do we want to refer it back to administration then?
Yes.
We need a motion to refer. Wayman and Day.
If you could give some direction as to, do you want us to assess this year and see what kind of weight scale or weights we're talking about?
Sound fair?
So
Well, assess it this year.
there's, like I said, we just got, to me, it looks like over the last 10 years, the industrial was nice. getting tidied up, and now a lot of people keep their stuff like that, parts wise, right?
Okay, so we'll refer it back to administration with direction to do an assessment this year with probable implementation next year. Sound fair? All those in favor? There. 8.3. Scent-free fitness center. There's a public request to establish a scent-free policy for the fitness center. We have the policy attached. The motion is be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council adopts a scent-free policy for the Inuvik Fitness Center, FD period 010. Mover and seconder. Councilor Merrill and Councilor Alexis. Discussion. All those in favor? Oh, wait, Councilor Devlin?
I know this was a council driven policy, but I am just curious, just about how the staff meant to sort of enforce this policy. I'm just wondering if we have thought that through, going up to people and smelling them and making determinations. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how this is going to roll out and how it's going to affect our staff. Thank you. It's going to be the same. Exactly.
So under consideration for your point, we've been currently implemented a couple staff people to, actually inspect fitness center memberships for users that could be accessing under their friend's card or, tag teaming into the fitness center. So we do have people monitoring, access currently, and we've been doing that for about 3 weeks, leading up to the implementation of the SNED policy, so we can kind of gauge, if there are heavy aerosols or any other perfumes, whatnot, have you, people spray themselves down before they leave. Also, some ladies come smelling like roses all the time, so it's gonna be pretty easy to identify who's and what they're.
Really good smelling.
Yeah, and on the other side of the not so nice smelling people are as well. That's a very easy identified smell. So,
Thank you for that.
you bet.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. 8.4, updated request from UNW regarding a discount. There are 2 options. Introduce corporate passes shared among members priced at $26.25 per year. Standard number of cards is 5, could be increased up to 10 for UNW. For every 10 new registrants, an additional corporate pass would need to be purchased. Excuse me. Option 2, implement individual member passes, allowing each active union member to enjoy a 10% discount. This provides more flexibility and convenience. The discount rate would vary based on the length of gym membership. Yeah, and I give some examples there. So managing up to 10 passes per person and monitoring their usage could present challenges when it comes to corporate passes. So we have 4 options. Approve the request via motion 1 or motion 2, defeat the motion or defer the motion with correction on the administration on how to proceed. The motion 1 is be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council resolves to provide the Union of Northern Workers Local 3 with an enhanced discount on corporate passes, allowing up to 10 users per pass instead of the usual 5. Motion 2 would be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council hereby grants the Union of Northern Workers Local 3 members with a 10% discount off membership fees. Which option do you wish to go with?
Hang on.
Councilor Merrill.
So are we locking into 1 or 2 options here?
Well, it can be an option. But we can choose one of these and we can certainly talk about it.
Okay, because I just want to take people back when the rec center first opened. And we tried the option one and I think it was the hospital, and there was such misuse of the corporate cards. It just became ridiculous, and that's why we canceled them.
So
So,
you're recommending option one?
no, I'm not recommending option one. I want to talk about why are we doing this?
Okay, well, I need a
Because-
motion before we can have.
Oh, well, then
discussion.
I will make a motion.
Okay,
And
Oh,
pick- pick one.
Yeah. And I'll second whatever Alana's picking, just so we can talk about this.
now the options, if you don't like, after this discussion, if you don't like motion one, you could defeat it and we can go to option two, so.
Okay.
Okay, discussion.
Okay, so speaking on option one, when we tried this in the past, we had incredible misuse of it. It's difficult to police. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. And my question overall is this gonna cost the town money if we're giving a discount to one particular group?
Natasha,
My comments are really similar. I don't know what I was expecting. I was thinking that if we went back to them about this, that they were gonna tell us that they were gonna pay the 10% difference, but clearly that's not the case. They just want a giveaway for people who make the most money in our community, have the most benefits, have pretty much everything. You know, if they're being negotiated, our territory shuts down, et cetera. Feeling a little soapboxy about this one, but I can't see taking program dollars away from the area that we always worry about having to cut program dollars from, because of like a discount for somebody, and then what does that do to everyone else down the line? And then who picks up that money is people who don't have benefits already, so I have a hard time with this one. I've said what I need to say though. Thank you.
okay, Councillor Devlin,
Along the same lines, I'm relatively pro-union when, as far as collective bargaining power goes with their employers. But what's kind of annoying is when they choose to use that bargaining power outside of their lane. And they try to negotiate with municipalities, our local grocery store. And I will say this, and I really wish some union members had shown up here today, or union leaders at least, had shown up so we could speak with them about this. But I mean, the question really is where do they think the 10% discount that Northmark's giving them is, who's paying for that? Not Northmark's corporate giving arm, it's us, the rest of us. And so if there are any union leaders listening to this broadcast, please understand that I don't mind when you work in your lane, but when you start coming out and trying to push around and use your negotiating power and taking away from the rest of our community, that's just unacceptable. Thank you.
thank you. Any further discussion? Be to the motion, all those in favor?
No, Whitney.
No, Councillor Alexis.
Yes,
Yeah, it's not on. There you go.
with this suggestion, what I think, it's like, I think, on the other side, is support like mental health and people's wellness, so I do like support the suggestion they make, and maybe if option one doesn't work, that maybe option two could work, because it will be based on individual. If one person wants to go, then this person will have a 10% discount, not a group or the whole corporate. So I do support supporting the union with having discount for the gym.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor?
This is of option one.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion is defeated. Motion number two, be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council hereby grants the UNW Local 3 members the 10% discount off membership fees. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Alexis and Councillor Harder. Discussion. Oh, Councillor Merrill.
It's the same issue of where does that 10% come from? And I really agree with Councillor Kulikowski that these are the best paid people in town. So,
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Just doing some quick math to clarify, Director Krug, say an annual rate, that $425, that's what the 10% savings per person is?
I haven't been prepared to answer that. I'm not prepared to answer.
Oh, okay,
without
because-
the information in front of me.
Okay, that's fine, because if it is, and even if there was 100 people, that's about $42,000 worth of revenue.
No,
Yes,
$50.
or $50?
It's the difference between the 472 and 420.
Okay, so 50 times on.
That's
Still, yes.
program.
Yeah, our individual annual pass is $452 for one individual. But 10% of that times however many union members could be quite substantial.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion's defeated. 9.1. Amendment to scavenging bylaw 2647/H&S/20, change name to salvage bylaw. First reading, be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council hereby gives first reading to bylaw 2734/H&S/23, a bylaw to amend the scavenging bylaw 2647/H&S/20. A mover and a seconder. Merrill and Kulikowski. Any discussion? Counselor Wayman.
We are, so it's not quite clear here, but PP and risk acknowledgement, don't we have risk acknowledgement up? That's enough. We have signs up saying you can't share your own risk and everything.
Maybe I can get our SAO to comment.
So there are a couple of things with regard to this policy. Currently, the policy is if somebody wants to scavenge, they sign for a permit and then there's no real enforcement or acknowledgement that they are putting themselves at risk if they're going through. The landfill site, they're not cognizant of theirs or taking any other precautions. So correct me if I'm wrong, Director, what this intent of the one change to the policy is to actually have them acknowledge what the risks are, including personal protective equipment. So if somebody is walking through and scavenging with running shoes on, for instance, and where does the liability lie? We've already, yes, you can scavenge, but if we haven't given them, if you are going to scavenge, wear steel-toed boots, make sure that you're, using gloves or whatever that PPE is, if that's what
So
you're.
who's gonna enforce this?
So they are acknowledging that, and this is part of the policy, is they are acknowledging, I am aware that if I am going to go into the dump, I need this, 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 and this. And if it does happen, and they are not wearing steel-toed boots, then that is on them. But we have made them aware that here are the risks. It's almost like you're going on the carnival ride, here's the risks. So it's implied that it's there, because there is nothing right now in our policy or our procedure for scavenging that speaks about the risks and puts that liability back on us because we haven't even informed them of it. Use at your own risk and have them sign it.
So someone's gonna enforce them to wear all the gear?
No,
It's liability.
It's, yeah,
Cause there's some old grandmas out there picking cans and I don't know if you're gonna get them to wear all the gear.
No.
And that's just their hobby and their
Well,
cash, right?
it would be our due diligence to acknowledge and have them acknowledge when they enter and they want to scavenge, they do know the risks and they are assuming that risk, not us.
Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. 9.2. Update to bylaw 2710/TEN/23, Schedule A, changing layout Crescent to Jack Zade Place. First and second reading. First reading, be it resolved, the Inuvik Town Council hereby gives hang on a second. Going back. Second reading of the salvage bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Merrill, Counselor Devil. Any discussion? All those in favor, motion's carried. My mistake, sorry. Back to 9.2, first reading. Be resolved, the Inuvik Town Council hereby gives first reading to bylaw 2735/GEM/24, a bylaw to amend the road naming bylaw number 2710/Gen/23. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Kulikowski and Councillor Merrill. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Second reading, same bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Devlin and Councillor Day. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Department updates. First is economic development and tourism. Charlotte. Probably didn't bear.
If you go down there. Sorry, thank you. Good evening. So I'll just give you a review of what happened since last time we met. Regarding events, so the Arctic Development Expo is coming up in 2.5 weeks now. We're wrapping up things. So far and booked, we have 28 exhibitors. I'm still waiting on 3 that are confirmed. This haven't booked it, but it's good. And for them that want to come, but still not sure. We have 10 sponsors. Thank you very much to all of them. With a cash sponsorship of $40,000 and in kind of more than $35,000. Regarding the conference, we have 4 main themes that come out of our schedule and organization. The first one will be a new generation of Indigenous leadership and governance. The second one, innovation and opportunities in Northern food production. Then the Northern natural resources and innovation. And finally, building the future innovations and challenges in Northern infrastructure development. So we're looking at 3 days full of conferences, great speakers from here, from the region, but also from down south. And of course, different events along the way to entertain everyone. Regarding the summer program, we have, as always, the Mondays with the movies, Tuesdays with workshops. Wednesdays, we have partnered with the Inuvik Community Greenhouse to host on Wednesday a craft market. They will be selling their own baked things, and we'll have a brand new kitchen currently with a running cafe. So they are asking to do not have bakers and food vendors, so only crafts. And of course, on Saturdays, our Arctic market. We also had the last tourism stakeholder meeting last Friday before the summer. We had Parks Canada and GNWT joining us, and CNAF as well, who gave us some nice updates. Yeah, that's regarding events, and of course, we're still programming what's happening this summer. With Parks Recreation and their fun run and the Night Madness and the Indigenous Peoples Day and Fiddle as well, where we got the grant. So it's a go. So yeah. And then on the second slide, oh, sorry.
Okay, just to be clear for myself, just Wednesdays is at the greenhouse, Saturdays Arctic Market is in the Arctic Market space?
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
yeah. Wednesdays at the greenhouse and Saturdays is always in the morning.
Yeah.
And of course, at the greenhouse it will be after hours, so if I do remember correctly, it's around 4 o'clock starting. Yeah. Regarding a different project, so finally, the guide is out, it was shipped Friday, so I'm waiting for the call of Air North to get it distributed in town. And it has already been distributed down south, so it's out. Thank you, council members, for allowing the Kristen Macklin Memorial Community Room to be rented out. It already had some positive feedback. And we're reminding the public that they can actually use for free this room as well as the boardwalk, and we already had a request to use it, so. Finally, marketing and communication coordinator position, we had tons of resumes, and I just received just received them from HR today, so. Hopefully, before the end of the week, I'll actually have my choices made, and we could go on with interviews. And finally, I wanted to congratulate Ethan Soltis for completing his first aid training. So we're both trained and ready to go out if necessary. And I finished in Inuvik Economic Landscape Survey to just get an idea of what needs to be done, what are expectations as well for our town, from small businesses as well as it's open to anyone, visitors as well, what they're looking for in our town. It's just to bring more ideas for community development. And that is it for me.
Any questions? Councilor Merrill?
That is one of the best covers I've ever seen. Finally, it's acknowledged that we have a winter culture. Because a lot of tourists ask us what it's like in the winter, and we have nothing to show them. And my second question is, who are your two models?
So it was pictures that were sent to us, and we selected 3. And I don't have their names, I don't remember. It's 2 little girls, I think they're 11 and 7 years old, something like this. Residents of Inuvik, and it was just this past winter. They were around the midnight sun. And the public actually on Facebook shows which cover they wanted, and this is the one everybody picked.
So is there any way we could have a larger version of that cover at the visitor center with their names on it, thanking them, like something to acknowledge those are Inuvik kids? If their parents are comfortable with that?
Yes, they are, and it's actually on the inside
Oh,
of the
perfect.
cover, there's a little story about this picture, who took it, and of course, the name of the girls, yeah.
Beautiful, thank you.
Any further questions? Councilor Devlin?
Well, further to Councilor Merrill's suggestion, having that sort of blown up, and we can do it here at Innovate. And then Innovate would be awesome to put at the visitor center, maybe even a couple of other places at the Innovate Sun Complex. Good PR.
Thank you, Charlotte. We have protective services.
Director Larman is doing live fire training tonight.
Okay.
So he just wanted me to update you that we are working on the emergency management plan. And he will give a more robust report at the next council meeting.
Thank you. 10.3 infrastructure.
Evening. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of updates from Department of Infrastructure. So we started the spring cleanup. We have our new street sweeper already going out and sweeping the roads. That started last week, and he continued today, and he's going to keep going pretty much until we have most of the roads cleaned up. Well, the major one we've had to deal with the last 3 weeks has been unplugging the culverts. And we've had the crew out for the last 3 weeks, overtime every weekend for the last 3 weeks. Trying to get water flowing with all the melts, and I mean with all the snow we got, obviously we have a lot of water. So there's a couple of pictures from the last couple of weeks, and we've also had the contractors come out actually with the excavator, the vac truck, trying to help us out as well, just to get the community water flowing. Next slide. The roads, so we're trying to focus on that now. I mean, we had that one in front of the dome which has now been fixed as well by the contractor. We have a couple potholes, we're placing order for, asphalt, for cold mix, and stuff like that, so that we can get a couple of these fixed, but right now, in the immediate term, we're gonna have gravel, to fill up the potholes we have around town, just to help those with, just to help people with their vehicles, right? So we don't have people getting their vehicles damaged and stuff like that. Grading has also taken place on Veterans Way and on Brennett. Like I said, assessment and preparations underway for road repairs. Tenders. So we had the tender for clearing and brushing for the sites for the solar panel project that closed on May 20th. We had one bid, and that'll be ready for review to council in the next cycle of meetings. The water reservoir rehabilitation as well. The tender for that closed on May 17th. We received only one bid as well that was way above budget, and we'll be providing additional information for decision in the next cycle of council meetings as well. Capital projects. So construction is underway. The block 3494 new utility construction. The pilings have now been completed, and they're just cutting those to size before they start with the piping. The landfill electric fencing. We have the solar panel container is now complete, and they're currently reaching out to the local trucking company to try to get that up to Inuvik in the next couple of weeks. We received 2 quotes for the fencing itself, and that will be presented to council as well next cycle of meetings. Myself and the SAU attended with our engineer actually attended the GRRB meeting with community organizations and the GNWT to discuss the project itself and next steps for public education as it regards bears and wildlife once the fence is up. The MSC control upgrade, the design drawings were received 2 weeks ago, which has now been approved, and the parts are now in order. And the current plan schedule to have that installed is between June and July once the parts have been received. The MSC Foundation structural assessment. We got an updated proposal from the engineers, which is ACOM, for about $373,000 to carry out the assessment. It will be, I mean, as I did give an update about this a while ago, and it's going to be a year-long assessment. We're going to be expecting a preliminary report will be expected in August 2024 and a final report in May 2025. Thank you for your time.
Any questions for the director? Councilor Wayne?
Can we start, I know we have a drainage plan for our culverts and our drainage of the community there.
Drainage plan.
Yes, our culverts identified. Because what we do on the highway is we put in heat traces in these culverts, and all these culverts that we're spending overtime and all this time on, and all this steaming on, we should be looking at installing these heat trace tapes. It saves money, time, everything, overtime. Like, I mean, I know it's a big thing, the drainage in the spring, but
yeah,
if we put in these heat traces like we do on the highway, especially, maybe not every culvert, but all the problem culverts draining off the top of the hills into the community, we would have less issues. Yeah. And less labor time and overall save some money.
Yeah. No,
Some suggestion.
No, sounds good. We actually had that conversation as well this afternoon, just before we left for the evening. Myself, the SAO, and one of my staff. And that was the suggestion that came up, and something we have to look into and see what the cost is going to look like, and it's probably going to have to become a project of itself in itself.
I think we do all the main ones. It would benefit us quite heavily. All the main drainages. Yeah, because there's 3 main ones off the hill here. We do all the main ones that go down through town, or the benefit of Caesar. Then you won't have guys that at 10 and 15 below trying to get water to run it all. Just plug it in and let the generator go and.
Yeah, we'll certainly look into it and come up with what that's going to look like for cost, and then determine if we have the budget to proceed.
Councilor Merrill?
So were they planning clearing the hillside to put up a solar farm? Do we know that clearing that brush off will not make that hillside vulnerable since it's very ice rich?
Yeah, so there was a meeting about this yesterday, and I did say to them that I was going to hold off on the brushing until the geotech report is in. So that we have a clear indication as to if we're gonna have slumpage or any kind of issues, constructing the solar farm on that site. So right now, that's the decision I have made, and I'm gonna wait for that report before we actually clear the site.
Thank you,
Unless the engineers come up with another suggestion, which I'll bring forward.
thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you for
Say
the
I
report.
love the new street sweeper.
Oh, Councillor Wayne,
On your geotech program, how many holes are they drilling?
I think it was 8 to 11. They were actually asking, if they could reach out to both Notwin and Allen Services. They sent me an email about that today. So it's a plan they have in place. It would delay, it would probably, I mean, this suggestion to halt any kind of clearing or anything like that will delay the project a little bit, but I think it's worth having that report done and that testing done before any kind of clearing takes place.
So
I think
are we filling that hill with the minimal fill, or we're just clearing?
There is gonna be civil drawings, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't received that yet. So there is gonna be civil drawings, and one of the conditions in the development permit was to have a sufficient drainage plan in place. So there's going to be, I don't know what the civil drawing is going to entail just yet until I receive it, but I do believe we're going to be filling areas, we're going to be creating slopes, creating grades to ensure that drain of that hill is sufficient.
Is there any way to leave it all, do it in the winter and leave it all natural, or?
Sorry,
Is there any way to do the program and drill the holes, install your pilings, and leave the hill all natural underneath it, or is that gonna?
I guess that'll probably be determined when we get the reports from the engineers when they come up and do their drilling and stuff.
any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next, we have corporate services.
Director Odiasi is away this week, so he will provide a more robust report at the next council meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Parks, Recreation and Leisure. Director Crew.
We've been busy as usual. We had, I think 8 staff take first aid training, so we have a number of, different staff on, different sides of the building, all trained. So the front desk, more lifeguards, and some of the maintenance staff all have their first aid training along with library staff as well. We received a generous sponsorship for the pool, and we are currently sponsored all the way up until September. So community swimming is free, but on non-instructor led swim times. So that's a real big bonus and a big chunk of revenue for us, and saves community members some money. So thank you. We've cleared out the Sedna pool. I've never seen it so empty, so it's ready for demolition whenever that's taking place, but staff have cleared it out, moved a lot of things to cold storage, and repaired some of the areas at cold storage to absorb all the contents from the pool. As I mentioned before, we are doing some fitness center tracking. It's been going very well. We've managed to remind members that this is a paid service and that respectfully to renew their memberships. It's only happened 2 or 3 times, and those members were very receptive in being informed or reminded. Nothing major from that. The Simcoe team has repaired the ice plant, and is fully operational, with no major problems. Everything went really well. We were in and out, were cleaned up, painted, and everything's put back together. Trace had held a Mother's Day craft in conjunction with the Arctic Market. Seemed to go pretty well, where moms could shop and kids could do a little craft. We hosted the firefighters gala, video dance party, so there was a bunch of different aspects with setup, liquor licensing, just details, and then chatting with the video DJ, making sure that all his equipment worked in conjunction with our equipment and what his expectations were. To provide that service was met very well, so he was really happy. We've also started our framework for summer field use. We had an informal meeting with the Inuvik Slow Pitch Association to get a head start on our meetings that we're holding tomorrow night with the other two ball user groups. So that was really well done. This weekend, we have a community garage sale at the arena, indoors, so hopefully people will sell some of their junk before it goes to landfill or to the free store. Community zone beautification starting next week. We're starting to plan for the fun run. T-shirts are ordered, medals are ordered. So that's another big event coming up. We have a meeting Friday morning with the Indigenous groups to go over National Indigenous Peoples Day and the celebration for that. We're also revitalizing Camp Kabuni this year. We have a number of job postings out for camp counselors. So we'll be looking to hire a bunch of summer staff to provide summer camp this year, which we're pretty excited for. I mentioned before, summer field use schedule. That also includes maintenance schedule, working with Scott and his team to come up with field maintenance, line painting, and expectations for the ball field users. And then just other various community partnerships and events, the GNAF, the Arctic Development Expo, and then we have a one TV screen as well. It's going to be taking place. So yeah, like I said, we've been busy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Question, Councilor Romero.
So when is the screening of the Alone TV show happening?
There's more details being worked out, but it should be sometime next month.
So it'll be something public?
Yes, it will.
Excellent, thank you.
Councilor Kulikowski. Councilor Devlin.
I just want to say kudos, we're at a full year since the pool reopened. I know we were closed for 2 months, over that year, but I just wanted to say kudos that after a full year and a full year of the public not having to pay either. So kudos to you, your team, for coming up with the whole sponsorship idea and or at least continuing it through. So kudos.
Thank you.
Councilor Wayne.
So someone sponsored it for the whole summer?
Two different organizations, the IRC sponsored in May, June, and July, and the Inuvik Firefighters Association is sponsored the remainder of August until we shut down in September for annual cleaning meetings.
Oh, awesome. Good show. Thank you.
Anything further? Seeing none, thank you.
Great, thank you.
10.6 capital projects report. Any questions? You want to give an update or?
At this time, Director Oliassi is not here. He will give that report, other than most of the capital projects fell under infrastructure and you already have those updates.
Okay. Moving on. Information items, we have the updates to the strategic priorities chart. The directors, any questions on the updates? Session.
I'll just say, I appreciate the turnaround on the request for the update. So thank you, the admin team.
I agree, it's nice to see. Any other comments? Seeing none. Council concerns. Councilor Wayne.
Is there a way to turn the water up in the street sweeper? It's doing a great job, but it needs more water. And I'm surprised we don't have 100 calls, with allergies and dust and. It's doing a great job. But it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was another conversation we had just before we left for today. And unfortunately, the one we have doesn't spray water from the big room. So only from the two edges, unfortunately. So we called the supplier and said, yeah, well, that's the one we bought. So now we're coming up with plans to either have a truck with a drum in front of it, spraying water while he's coming behind or something like that, just to help to reduce the dust while he's sweeping. So we discussed that today. We're gonna look into that in the next 1 or 2 days here and come up with a path. We had 2 solutions we came up with. Yeah, and we'll go in one or the other direction to try to help with the dust.
Any other concerns? Seeing none, I get a motion to go in camera. Counselor Alexis and Counselor Merrill, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Right.